Good morning, everybody. It is great to be with you on this Monday morning. I am out at my parents' house in Rockford, Michigan, outside of Rockford. Behind me is Cowan Lake, and my family and I, we tent camped outside of my parents' house last night, so nice under the stars. It was a pretty night. And half of them are still sleeping, so it's a good night. There were some fireworks last night over the lake, and kids were out late. So it's just me this morning, bringing you morning devotions. But it's good to be out here with you. It's also a little buggy, so if you see me going like this a bunch, sorry. But it's 4th of July also, so happy 4th to you. And we're gonna sing the last hymn in the hymnal. At the very end of the hymnal, there are there's a section called Nation and National Songs. And so we're going to sing Before You, Lord, We Bow this morning, number 966. Let's sing this. Before you, Lord, we bow, our God who reigns above and rules the world below, boundless in power and love. Our thanks we bring, in joy and praise our hearts we raise to you, our King. The nation you have blessed may well your love declare, from foes and fears at rest, protected by your care. For this bright day, for this fair land, gifts of your hand, our thanks we pay. May every mountain height, each vale and forest green, shine in your words' pure light, and its rich fruits be seen. May every tongue be tuned to praise and join to raise a grateful song. Earth, hear your Maker's voice, your great Redeemer own. Believe, obey, rejoice, and worship him alone. Cast down your pride, your sin deplore, and bow before the crucified. And when in power he comes, oh, may our native land from all its rending tombs send forth a glorious band, a countless throng, with joy to sing to heaven's high King salvation song. Today we're in 1 Kings chapter 10, starting with verse 1. Now when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of Yahweh, she came to test him with hard questions. She came to Jerusalem with a very great retinue, with camels bearing spices and very much gold and precious stones. And when she came to Solomon, she told him all that was on her mind. And Solomon answered all her questions. There was nothing hidden from the king that he could not explain to her. And when the queen of Sheba had seen all the wisdom of Solomon, the house that he had built, the food of his table, the seating of his officials, and the attendance of his servants, their clothing, his cupbearers, and his burnt offerings that he offered at the house of Yahweh, there was no more breath in her. And she said to the king, the report was true that I heard in my own land of your words and of your wisdom, but I did not believe the reports until I came and my own eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. Your wisdom and prosperity surpasses the report that I heard. Happy are your men, happy are your servants who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Blessed be Yahweh your God, who has delighted in you and set you on the throne of Israel. Because Yahweh loved Israel forever, he has made you king, that you may execute justice and righteousness. Then she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and a very great quantity of spices, and precious stones. Never again came such an abundance of spices as these that the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Moreover, the fleet of Hiram, which brought gold from Ophir, brought from Ophir a very great amount of almond wood and precious stones. And the king made of the almond wood supports for the house of Yahweh and for the king's house, also lyres and harps for the singers. No such almond wood has come or been seen to this day. And the king Solomon gave to the Queen of Sheba all that she desired, whatever she asked, besides what was given her by the bounty of King Solomon. So she turned and went back to her own land with her servants. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So as we hear about the Queen of Sheba coming up, we get an outsider's perspective of the nation of Israel. We heard about Hiram and his workings with Solomon. He's up in in Sidon and Tyre and that region, and gave him the cedars of Lebanon to build the temple, and even Solomon's own palace. And so we don't get a lot of like, oh man, your place is so great, because he's kind of in the midst of everything that's going on there in the nation and the building up of the nation. But now that everything's been established, now word is getting out to these places, especially down in the south, where the Queen of Sheba is. And so she comes up with her camels, this big retinue of people, and she makes this exclamation. The report that I heard, I didn't believe it, because it was too wonderful to believe all of the things that you have that I heard about you, Solomon. But when she came and visited, she saw all the sights. And then she tested Solomon. I mean, there was this reputation of Solomon that he was the wisest man, right? We heard that a few chapters earlier, that he was wiser than even some of these great wise men of the day that are named here that we don't really know, but Solomon surpassed them, right, in his wisdom. And so it says that she came let's see, as Solomon answered all of her questions. And the word there is the same one that is used when we read in the book of Judges about the riddles that are given to Samson, or that Samson gives, right? The riddles that he asks. And so she's asking Solomon, not just like, why is the sky blue? Or where do babies come from, right? And maybe those were her questions. But she's asking him like riddles, things that would test the intellect and understand, help someone understand how wise is this person. And Solomon, in his wisdom, is able to answer all of her riddles that she poses to him, so that she isn't able to stump him. And she's astounded by this, right? Nothing was hidden from the king that he could not explain to her. And so when she sees this, when she sees the majesty of the kingdom, the wealth, the prosperity, the buildings, everything, and Solomon himself, she says, your wisdom and prosperity surpass the report that I heard. Behold, the half was not told me. And so she didn't believe the tall tales that were being told of Solomon. And she here is now saying, it's doubly as good as what everyone else said, and I believed it to be maybe half as good. So it's like 4 times as good. You could probably give some metric to it, but really it's just way more amazing than what she could have ever conceived of in this kingdom. That gives us a sense of what this kingdom that God had blessed Solomon with and Israel with, they were slaves in Egypt. And God said, I'm going to deliver you and bring you into a good land, and I'm going to build you up as my people, and you will have everything that you need if you listen to me and my word and keep my word. And you will be a blessing to the nations around you, because as this great nation is built up, now other people hear of it, and they're able to see the majesty of Yahweh, right? She makes these great acclamations where she says, blessed be Yahweh your God, who has delighted in you and set you on the throne of Israel, because Yahweh loved Israel forever. He has done this. It seems apparent, and hopefully this is true, that the Queen of Sheba, as she experiences what God is doing here in Israel, she experiences the God of all things, right? The God who is the one God over the entire universe. The God who loves these people and also loves her people. And we hope that as Solomon here is able to show her, even his worship practices, right? His burnt offerings that he offered in the house of Yahweh. When she saw this, it took her breath away. There was no more breath in her. It left her breathless, right? She was totally in awe of everything that God had done. And so the goal for God here, for Yahweh, was so that nations would come to Israel. Israel would be a light to the Gentiles, right? That they would all, the Gentiles would flock to worship Yahweh in his temple. And she is welcome to do so as she bows down before God here. And that's a supposed thought, but it's a possible thought. And then she takes this Yahweh worship back to her people. And so that's the point of what God wanted Israel to do. He builds them up, not to give them everything that they need for themselves. That's a blessing. That's a byproduct of this. But so that they would be able to be a people that blesses other nations, and not with their trading, as we see here, Solomon trading with it's just huge sums of money here, like millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in gold are exchanged, and supplies are given. That's not the point. The point is that Israel would be this light, that other nations would have the wealth of the knowledge of their God and see that Lord and come to him. Jesus speaks about the Queen of Sheba. And he even makes some bold statements about how she would, in her own way, as he points to his own work as being even greater than Solomon in wisdom and in reaching out to the Gentiles, and having a truth that needs to be proclaimed to others. He makes a statement. This is Matthew 12. Also, you can find it in Luke chapter 11. Jesus says, the Queen of the South, he's talking about Queen of Sheba here. This is verse 42, Matthew 12:42. The Queen of the South will rise up at judgment with this generation. So he's talking about the people that reject him and don't recognize the half of it, which is not even close to the majesty that they should behold with Jesus. She'll rise up at judgment with this generation, condemn it, for she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, something greater than Solomon is here. This is who Jesus is. We can look back in the Old Testament and be like, man, that'd be amazing to live in that time and those people and what the wealth that they received, the Israel that God had built up, that people are coming from all over. This is us, guys. We live in the United States of America and we're celebrating the Independence Day of this nation today. And we have the riches and the wealth of the world. And people come to this nation because they can see the prosperity and the wealth that we have here. And it's not even close to the grace and mercy and wealth of life and the goodness of the kingdom that Jesus brings. As he speaks to the people who reject him. He wants them to see, guys, you're reaching after the wrong things.